thing is Euclid's division lemma. In this real numbers, the first included concept as Euclid's division lemma. You just have a look at this word Euclid's division lemma. So what is lemma? What is this division and who is this Euclid? That's what we need to discuss first. Euclid's division lemma. So lemma is just a Greek word. Lemma is what? A Greek word, and it means a surprise, a gift given by the universe or a gift given by the God. Is it clear? Lemma is a surprise gift. It is a Greek word and its meaning is a surprise gift. This Euclid's division lemma is a surprise gift given by Euclid for mathematics, and that's why we are considering it as Euclid's division lemma. Not only this particular, we have different statements and we call them as lemmas in mathematics. And lemma is means what? A surprise gift given by that particular person to mathematics. And coming to Euclid, Euclid is a legendary Greek mathematician who worked for algebra, geometry and number systems. And he included this Euclid's division lemma in his book 7 of the Elements. Okay, he wrote a book and the name of the book is The Elements. Okay, in the book there are 12 chapters, and in chapter 7 he included this particular Euclid's division lemma. Okay, and coming to mathematics, lemma means a statement which is used to prove different properties of numbers. Okay, mathematically lemma is a statement which is used to prove different properties, and particularly here different properties of numbers. Okay, orally lemma is a surprise gift. Mathematically lemma is a statement which is used to prove other properties. Okay, and Euclid recorded this particular Euclid's division lemma in his book, and we refer it as Euclid's division lemma. Then coming to the word division, why he included division? Okay, since from our childhood in our earlier classes, many times we used the word division and we know the process of division. Okay, this particular Euclid's division lemma is simply nothing but restatement of, it is just simply a restatement of our long division process. I think you all know the process of division, right? And that particular long division process is simply nothing but Euclid's division lemma. Its restatement is this Euclid's division lemma. We know long division process, right? And Euclid just restated that particular long division process in his point of view, and he mentioned it as Euclid's division lemma. And that way of observing that long division process helps us to prove many properties of the numbers, and that's why it is somewhat important to learn. Okay, right. So Euclid's division lemma is just a restatement of long division process. Then automatically our concentration is going towards long division process. So what is a long division process? See, you all know long division process in the sense, for suppose if you are going to divide 20 with 3, 6 is simply 18 and you left with 2. Is it right? If you are dividing 20 with 3, 6 is 18 and you left with 2. What it means actually? What it means, yeah, we are going to distribute this 20 for 3 equally. Okay, see, if I give you an example, if I have 20 chocolates with me and I am trying to distribute those 20 chocolates to 3 persons equally, then what I do? See, I will start my distribution step by step. If I continue distributing the chocolates, after giving 6 chocolates for each person, I left with 2 more chocolates. Since I left with 2 more chocolates, I don't have any chance to distribute those 2 chocolates for the people. So I consider this particular 2 as remainder, because after distribution I left with this 2, so I don't have any chance to distribute these 2 chocolates for the 3 persons, so I am taking it as remainder. So the remaining chocolates are the remaining objects. So basically the long division process is this. We will continue the division process until to reach a number where further distribution is not required, where further distribution is not possible. Okay, and in this 20 divided by 3, 6 and 2, I think you all know this division and you all know the words, see the particular names of these numbers. Okay, once again I mentioned for you, if you divide 20 with 3, 6 and this is 2, As I mentioned you, this 20 is the remaining objects, and that's why we are calling this 20 as remainder. And we just call this 6 as quotient. Whereas this 3 as divisor. And this 20 as dividend. Okay. Just have a look. Actually, our intention is to learn Euclid's division lemma. We are at 10th class and our intention is to learn Euclid's division lemma. But Euclid's division lemma is simply Euclid's point of view of understanding division. And now we are going to do that particular aspect, right? So, and this is division as we know, okay? 20 when divided by 3, it leaves us 2 as remainder and 6 as quotient. 6 is quotient, 20 is dividend, 3 is divisor and 2 is remainder. And we have a chance to rewrite this particular division like this. 20 is equals to 3 into 6 plus 2. Is it right? 20 is equals to 3 into 6 plus 2 and the 2 is the remainder because further distribution is not possible. And this can be stated as 20 is simply what? Dividend is equals to divisor into quotient plus remainder. Dividend is equals to divisor into quotient plus remainder. And when you observe this particular statement, dividend is equals to divisor into quotient plus remainder, you need to concentrate on this particular remainder. Why? Because that remainder indicates the point where we need to stop the division process, right? See here the remainder is 2, further distribution is not possible and that's why we stopped the process of division. For suppose if this remainder is more than 3, so again we have a chance to distribute the chocolates. For suppose if I left with 5 here, okay? For suppose 3 5 is 15, I left with 5. We won't consider that 5 as the remainder. I will mention here for you. You just have a look. For suppose if you divide this 20 with 3 as 3 5 is 15 and 5 is again remainder, this is not a correct division, okay? Why? Because since we left with 5, there are 3 persons and further there is a chance to distribute this 5 for the 3 people equally. And after the distribution you left with 2 and that 2 is particularly remainder, this 5 is not a remainder. So when you write this particular statement, you need to mention that this remainder, here the remainder must be less than divisor, okay? So this is our division process, our long division process. Based on this long division process, Euclid proposed this is Euclid's division lemma, okay? And then I will state that particular statement. You just note everything as 3a, okay? Have a look. So just look at the board. This is the statement of Euclid's division lemma. According to Euclid, in his lemma, he mentioned that if you have any two positive integers, that in the sense given two positive integers a and b, there exists unique pair of integers q comma r. You have two numbers a and b. For every two positive integers a and b with you, there exists for sure two more integers q comma r such that a is equals to bq plus r for 0 less than or equals to r less than b. Okay, take any two numbers as you wish as a and b, and then if you search, for sure you will get q comma r. Okay, once again I am repeating the statement. You just take any two positive integers as you wish. Okay, any two numbers, any two positive integers, and for those a and b, if you search in the integers, surely you will get two numbers q comma r satisfying this particular statement. Okay, you just search with any numbers, and I am going now with that a is equals to 20 and b is equals to 3. We know the division, but now we are discussing about this particular Euclid's division lemma. If my a is equals to 20 and b is equals to 3, according to the statement of Euclid's division lemma, I am going to verify this particular statement now, whether it is right or wrong. Okay, to verify that, what I need, for every two numbers of a be taken, I need to find out a unique pair of integers q comma r. If I have a chance to find out a unique pair of integers q comma r, then I will conclude that this particular statement is a correct one. Okay. Now I am starting my discussion with AB. Okay. I am searching for QR. Okay. And that QR, this AB all together will form this particular statement. So how can I write? A is equals to BQ plus R, right? And so A I know as 20, B I know as 3, and Q plus R. For 0 less than or equals to R less than 3, right? So this is the statement. I don't know Q and R at present, at now, okay? And I am trying to figure out that Q and R. You just take different numbers in the place of Q and try to find out R like that, okay? So this is the statement actually. Okay, I will write it like different ways. Just have a look. For suppose if Q is equals to some 0, 20 is equals to 3 into 0 plus R. Plus R in the sense 20 is equals to 3 into 0 plus 20. Is it right? This R must be less than 3. Not correct, right? So if I take 20 is equals to 3 into 1 plus 17. Is it right? No, because this R must be less than 3. 20 is equals to 3 into 2 plus 14. Is it right? Because we need to make this R must be less than 3. These are the numbers at R. These are the numbers at Q. I am taking different numbers at Q like 0, 1, 2 like that. So likewise if you continue, take 3 in the place of Q, 4 in the place of Q, 5 in the place of Q. Like that if you continue, you will get that 20 is equals to, okay, you just continue like this. 20 is equals to 3 into 5 plus 5. Again it is a wrong statement because this is R and that R is not less than 3. We need to find out one particular representation. Okay, we use the word representation. Okay, we need to find out one particular representation where everything of the given restrictions are satisfied. 20 is equals to 3 into 6 plus 2. Yeah, now just have a look at this particular statement. 20 is equals to 3 into 6 plus 2. Okay, here this particular R value is less than 3. Okay, R value is in between 0 and 3. That's the actual restriction. That restriction is satisfied. Q is any integer. That is also satisfied. So A is equals to BQ plus R with this particular restriction is satisfied only with this representation. Actually, by taking different values of the Q, different values in the place of Q, you will get different values in the place of R. If you observe, all these statements are correct. Okay, 20 is equals to 3 into 2 plus 14. Is it a wrong statement? No. Exactly it is correct. All these statements are correct. But among all these statements, this particular representation is considered as Euclid's representation or Euclid's division lemma representation. There are infinite representations in such a way. Among all those infinite representations, only one representation will satisfy this particular statement. Or otherwise you just go 20 is equals to 3 into 7. 20 is equals to 3 into 7 plus minus 1 I need to write. Is it right? And 20 is equals to 3 into 8 plus of minus 4 I have to write. See, these statements are also correct, but these are all fails to satisfy this particular restriction because my R must in between 0 and 3. Here this R value is minus 1 is not in between 0 and 3. So this is not the required representation. Here minus 4 is not in between 0 and 3. So this is not the required representation. Among all those representations, one representation satisfies the given restriction. Since only we have one such representation, so the word unique pair of integers q and r is a suitable word there. So at the end what we conclude, take any numbers as AB, any positive integers as AB and search for the pair of q comma r in such a way. If you search for every pair of AB, for sure you will get unique pair of q comma r satisfying this particular statement. Okay, and Euclid observed this particular phenomena, process everything, and he mentioned it as Euclid's division lemma. Infinite representations are possible, but only one representation is satisfying this Euclid's statement, and that one representation is just similar to our long division process. 20 is equals to 3 into 6 plus 2. What it is? This 20 is equals to 3 into 6 plus 2 is simply dividing 20 with 3, and 3 6 is 18. You left with 2, right? So every time writing these many representations and identifying Euclid's representation is bit difficult, right? So I will take two numbers, right? Okay, I will take some more numbers. For suppose if I take a is equals to maybe some 100, take a is equals to 100 and b is equals to some 70. A is equals to 100 and b is equals to 70. I need to find out Euclid's division lemma representation or Euclid's representation. So to identify the unique representation by listing all the infinite representations is bit lengthy, right? And that's why now you just compare this Euclid's division lemma with our division process, and then simply you just go with the division 100 divided with 70. Okay, what it is actually 17 5s is 85 and you left with 50 and here it is 5. So from this division easily we will write that 100 is equals to 17 into 5 plus 50. That unique representation directly we are finding using our long division process. Actually Euclid's division lemma is what? Identifying unique representation among all this, but since that Euclid's division lemma is just similar to our long division process, to identify that unique representation we just move with our long division process. Okay, have a look. So as we discussed, Euclid's division lemma is this unique representation a is equals to bq plus r for 0 less than or equals to r less than b, and its corresponding long division process is this: when you divide a with b you left with quotient q and remainder r. And now we are going to learn different form of numbers. See, these form of numbers are simply depending on this particular restriction that 0 less than or equals to r less than b. Okay, right. So first of all what I mentioned is, to just have a look, if b is equals to 1, what will happen? If b is equals to 1, what will happen? Yeah, 0 less than or equals to r less than b, right? If b is equals to 1, that implies 0 less than or equals to r less than 1, right? If b is equals to 1, 0 less than or equals to r less than 1. And that implies what you say about r. R is an integer, we know, and the value of r is less than 1 and it is greater than 0, may be equal to 0. So clearly we say that r is equals to 0. If b is equals to 1, r is equals to 0. Therefore, what is our representation? A is equals to 1 into q plus 0. This is the representation actually. For b is equals to 1, this is the representation. If b is equals to 2, what will happen? Okay, if b is equals to 2, if b is equals to 2, you just think about r. If b is equals to 2, 0 less than or equals to r less than 2. And the value of r is in between 0 and 2, maybe 0, so r is equals to 0 comma 1. Since r is equals to 0 comma 1, then how can you write a? How can you express a? What are the representations for a? What are the forms for a? A is equals to bq plus r, b is 2, so 2 into q plus r. And what is that r? That r is either 0 or 1. We have two possibilities for that r, either 0 or 1. So you just replace that r with 0 or 1. So a is equals to 2q or 2q plus 1. You just have a look at this particular statement. A is any positive integer. A is any positive integer. 2 is fixed. R has two possibilities, 0 and 1. So at the end we have a is equals to 2q or 2q plus 1. A is any positive integer. Take any positive integer as you wish, and that can be expressed as 2q or 2q plus 1 with respect to 2. And these are considered as forms of a with respect to 2. A is any positive integer. It has forms with respect to any number. With respect to 2, it has two forms. With respect to 3, it has 3 forms. According to the situation, we need to choose corresponding forms. I will discuss for b is equals to 3. You just have a look. If b is equals to 3, what to say about r? Again the same discussion. If b is equals to 3, 0 less than or equals to r less than 3. This particular one, replace b with 3. So since r value is in between 0 and 3 and maybe 0, you just take that r is equals to 0 or 1 or 2. R value is 0 or 1 or 2. Since r value is 0 or 1 or 2, therefore a is equals to 3q plus r, and that r is either 0 or 1 or 2. So a is equals to 3q or 3q plus 1 or 3q plus 2. And when you observe, these are considered as forms of a, representations of a with respect to 3. Okay, any positive integer has different representations by changing this particular divisor b. So we say that any positive integer has many forms depending on the suitable number. That in the sense, any positive integer has representations with respect to 2, with respect to 3, with respect to 4, like that, and we need to choose suitable representations according to our requirement. Okay, you just have a look. And at the end, that's for today's class.